Someone you love dies. You know logically they're gone. But for days, maybe weeks, you still reach for your phone to call them. You still save them a seat. You still start sentences with their name. That feeling isn't weakness. It isn't confusion. It's one of the oldest things a human being can do. And it started long, long before we had words for it. For a long time, scientists believed that mourning the dead was a civilized behavior, something that came with language, religion, cities. They were wrong. In 1908, archaeologists excavated a cave in La Chapelle-aux-Saints, France. Inside, they found a Neanderthal skeleton, buried in a pit, positioned carefully, surrounded by animal bones. This wasn't a body that had been abandoned, it had been placed. Neanderthals, a species who died out 40,000 years ago, who never built cities or wrote books, were holding funerals. Then in 2015, an even older discovery shocked the scientific world. Deep in a South African cave system called Rising Star, researchers found hundreds of bones from an ancient human relative, Homo naledi, a creature with a brain a third the size of ours. The bones were too deep, too deliberate, no predators, no water flow, no accident. They had carried their dead into the dark. Here's the uncomfortable question. Mourning is expensive. It takes time. Energy. Attention pulled away from survival. A grieving animal is a distracted animal. So why didn't evolution just remove it? Because grief isn't a bug. It's a signal. Anthropologist Barbara King has studied animal grief for decades. She found that elephants stand over dead family members for hours. Chimpanzees carry their dead infants for days. Crows hold what look like funerals, gathering around a fallen member of their group, going silent. What all these species share, they form deep social bonds. And grief is what happens when those bonds are severed. In evolutionary terms, strong bonds meant survival. They meant sharing food, protecting young, watching for predators. The same brain circuitry that made you love someone, that kept you close to them, dependent on them, is the same circuitry that makes their absence feel wrong. Grief is the price of attachment, and attachment kept us alive. But ancient humans didn't just feel grief, they invented something to manage it. Ritual. At Sungir, Russia, 34,000 years ago, archaeologists found two children buried side by side. They wore more than 10,000 hand-carved ivory beads, fox-tooth pendants, mammoth ivory spears, objects that took thousands of hours to make. These weren't thrown in a pit, they were dressed. Why spend that much effort on the dead? Because ritual is a technology for the living. When we perform a sequence of actions, lay out the body, say the words, gather the people, we're doing something psychologically powerful. We're marking the moment as real, unavoidable, shared. Psychologist James Pennebaker found that people who ritualize their grief, through ceremony, storytelling, repetition, process loss more effectively than those who don't. The ritual doesn't bring anyone back, but it gives the brain something to hold on to when reality feels unbearable. Our ancestors figured this out without neuroscience, without therapy. They just knew somehow that you had to do something when someone was gone. Many ancient burials share one striking detail: red ochre, a powdered mineral, deep red, almost the color of blood, sprinkled over bodies in graves from Africa to Europe to Australia. Across tens of thousands of years of human prehistory, unconnected cultures kept doing the same thing. No one knows exactly why. Some researchers think it symbolized blood, life force, a way of giving the dead something to carry into whatever came next. Others suggest it was practical, a preservative, a marker, a way to identify the grave. But one theory feels particularly resonant. Ochre was pigment. It was the material ancient humans used to make art. Maybe covering a body in ochre was the oldest way of saying you were meaningful, you were worth marking, you existed, and that mattered. We tend to think of ourselves as modern, our grief apps, our grief therapists, our 5 stages of grief, as if loss followed a checklist. But when you weep at a funeral, you are doing something that Homo naledi did in a dark cave before your species existed. When you visit a grave, you are doing something Neanderthals did in Ice Age France. When you tell stories about the person who died, when you keep their photograph, when you can't throw away their jacket, you are running the same ancient software. Grief is not a malfunction, it is proof of connection. And the urge to honor the dead, to mark them, to remember them, to refuse to let them simply vanish, that is one of the things that made us human in the first place. We don't know what ancient humans believed happened after death. We don't know if they thought the dead could hear them, but they buried them anyway, carefully, with objects, with color, with effort. Maybe that's the most human thing of all, to act as if it matters, even when you're not sure.